All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast. Now, you look at the Pac 12 conference on the gridiron, and I know that the Pac 12 is a Power Five conference, but they have not been able to keep up with the other Power Five conferences. You look at it, and it's been several years since the Pac 12 has failed to produce a representative in the college football playoff. You go back, and honestly, the only two schools that have made the college football playoff out of the Pac 12 have been Washington and Oregon. And you look at the Pac 12 right now, it's a team, or it's a conference rather, that's coming into this college football season. They have several good teams, but I'm not sure if those teams are going to have enough to reach that field of four. But with that said, who has the best chance to win the Pac 12 in 2021? You look at Oregon, and first and foremost, the Ducks, they're looking to make it three consecutive years as far as being champions of the Pac 12. You look at the job that Mario Cristobal has done as the Ducks head football coach. And, when you think about Cristobal, you think about his time playing at the University of Miami as a starting offensive lineman. And he's brought that physicality to Oregon. And on top of that, the Ducks always run the football well. I look for running back CJ Verdell to have a big season for the Ducks, especially if they're going to win this conference. Then on the flip side of the ball, you look at sophomore middle linebacker Noah Sewell, who came off of a solid freshman campaign, and he's looking to, build off of that and become one of the better defenders in the conference. I look at Oregon's schedule and some games that really stand out for me. On September 11th, they're going to travel to Columbus to take on the Ohio State Buckeyes out of the Big Ten Conference, and that's not going to be an easy game right there. It's an opportunity for the Pac 12 to get some respect, of course, but, going on the road versus a Big Ten powerhouse like Ohio State is not going to be easy. Oregon will host UCLA on October 23rd, and then they're at Utah. Pardon me, they travel to UCLA on October 23rd, and then they're at Utah on November 20th. And I look at Utah, it doesn't, regardless of who's on that roster, that when getting a road win versus the Utes at Rice Eccles is always a difficult thing to do. But nonetheless, I do think Oregon is definitely going to be in the mix to win the Pac 12 North. Another team in the Pac 12 North that could give Oregon some problems could be Cal. You look at this team under head coach Justin Wilcox, they're looking to get back on track after a down 2020. And it starts with senior quarterback Chase Garbers. What is he going to bring to the table to help elevate this team and help them potentially win the Pac-12 conference? Or, pardon me, Cal, rather, they do have some difficult games up here. They're at TCU coming out of the Big 12 on September 11th, at Oregon on October 15th. And, going to Eugene and winning is always a difficult thing versus USC on November 13th. And that's a big game as, the Golden Bears welcome the men of Troy to Berkeley on November 13th. And then Cal finishes their regular season at the Rose Bowl at UCLA on November 27th. And speaking of the men of Troy, are they once again ready to reign over the Pac 12? I mean, USC, it's been several years since they won the Pac 12 conference. And you look at their head coach, Clay Helton. He's a guy who wins, but he always has his critics and his skeptics out there. He got USC to a pair of New Year's Six bowl games. You look at him, he had one losing season so far at USC, but I really think, the guy can go out there and coach, but the bottom line is he needs to go out there and put up a big season this time around to kind of, quiet some of those doubters around the USC program. Junior quarterback Keaton Slavis is the real deal. And for my money, if Slavis was playing on the East Coast, more people would be talking about him right now. You look at this USC offense, they can score points. And for me, I expect Slavis and junior wide receiver Drake London to hook up plenty in his college football campaign. A very experienced offensive line for the Trojans, as they have four seniors on that O-line. Defensively, I look at senior linebacker Kanai Mauga as well as senior defensive end Nick Figueroa to have a big time impact for this Trojans defense. USC, they should be able to go out there and take care of their business for the most part. They're going to have some very important games. October 9th, they will host Utah. And if you've noticed, since Utah has joined the Pac 12, regardless if it's in the Coliseum in LA or if it's at Rice Eccles in Salt Lake, Utah always gives USC some problems. USC on October 23rd will travel to South Bend to take on the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. SC will be coming into that game fresh off of a bye, but more than likely it's going to be a night game. And it's a situation where winning at Notre Dame at night is not easy. November 6th, USC will travel to Sun Devil Stadium to take on Arizona State. And, USC in recent years has been giving plenty of scares from Arizona State. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Trojans will once again be on upset alert. And then another important game for USC, November 20th, they host UCLA. And that's going to be important because UCLA, they're trying to take the next step this year under head coach Chip Kelly. And how do you take the next step? You got to go out there and beat your crosstown rivals. And, speaking of UCLA rather, are they finally ready to make some noise in the Pac 12 under Chip Kelly? It has been very disappointing so far for the Bruins since Chip Kelly became their head football coach. I know there was plenty of hoopla around him returning to the West Coast, but the Bruins have not finished with a winning record under Kelly, and they have not finished with a winning season since 2015. So first and foremost, for UCLA to have a positive impact on the gridiron this year, it starts with senior quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Of course, what he can do as a runner, but what can he do to uplift this team as a passer? That's going to be a big asset of it, or a factor for it, rather. Junior tight end Greg Dulcich is probably going to be one of his go-to guys in the passing game. But the Bruins got to find a way to improve on defense. They were 69th in the nation last year in total defense. I expect senior middle linebacker Caleb Johnson to have an impact for the Bruins, but they got to go out there and try to make some noise in the Pac-12. Now, on September 4th, and this is a huge game for USC, they will host the LSU Tigers coming out of the SEC conference. And this is going to be a nationally televised game. And if you are UCLA, you definitely want to go out there and show your merit versus one of the top programs in the nation. Remember, it was just 2 years ago that LSU won the national championship. On October 2nd, UCLA will host Arizona State. Then on October 23rd, they're going to host Oregon. And then coming down the stretch, October 30th at Utah, and I cannot say it enough how difficult it is to go to Rice Eccles and get a win. And then finally on November 20th at USC. And it's a situation again for UCLA to take that next step. They've got to go out there and win some of these games and get some respectability back behind their program rather. Now, staying in the Pac-12 South, you look at the Sun Devils, and they want to try to make some noise as well. Under head coach Herman Edwards, junior quarterback Jaden Daniels. He seems like he's been there forever, but you know what? This guy can go out there and get the job done. Herm's going to try to run the ball, and I expect a heavy dose of senior running back Rashad White. And it's going to be interesting to see if the Sun Devils are going to be able to reach the Pac-12 title game at UCLA on October 2nd, at Utah on October 16th. And the one that I'm really circling is November 6th when they welcome USC to Tempe. Kyle Whittingham's Utah Utes, like I always say, they are always going to be tough. And you look and you think about Whittingham's time in Utah, he doesn't get the 5-star recruits, but you know what? It's all about his system. It's all about finding players who fit his system, and they go out there, they play hard, and they make an impact. And I guarantee you, Utah will definitely have a hand in who's going to win the Pac-12 this season. As far as the Pac-12 title game, I think it's going to be a rematch from last season with Oregon and USC. And of course, Oregon did go to the Coliseum and defeat USC. This time around, it's going to be in Vegas at Allegiant Stadium, of course, the new home of the Las Vegas Raiders. And it's very interesting because, of course, originally when the Pac-12 championship began, it was just on campus at the higher seeded team. Then they moved to Santa Clara at Levi Stadium, home of the 49ers. But now you're going to Vegas. And it's funny because I know that the money is in Vegas, but, the Pac-12 does not have a program in the state of Nevada. But you know what? They're hosting a championship game there. But at the end of the day, it's all about the money. I think it's going to be Oregon and USC. I think USC can and will win the Pac-12 this time around. I think they have plenty of talent to get it done, but I'm not sure if the men of Troy are going to have enough to be a representative in the college football playoff this year. When you look at it, still the Pac-12 overall is, lagging behind the big boys. Of course, the Pac-12 is going to lag behind the SEC and the Big Ten, but it's a situation. USC, they got to go out there and take care of their business, and I think this conference as a whole has to go out there and take care of their business. How do you do that? You go out there and you win those non-conference games, whether it's on your home field or you're getting on a plane and going to play somebody else. You got to go out there and take care of your business and earn that respect. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Pac-12 is able to do that this time around. But nonetheless, I still think that you're going to have some good, exciting football on the West Coast coming out of the Pac-12 conference this year. Nonetheless, I think USC, whoever gets this definitely gets that New Year's Six bowl bid. But you know what? When it's all said and done, you got to earn the respect on the gridiron. It's going to be interesting to see how the Pac-12 will be able to do that in 2021. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.